Hey. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our July Details University class. I'm really excited to have this month's guest join me here. I've been friends with her for a number of years since I got started in the industry. Kate Penn, CEO of Society of American Florists. Welcome to Details Live.
Thank you. And thank you so much for having me here.
Schedule because you are a very busy woman, and I thank you for coming on online here with us today to tell everybody about SAF and some of your upcoming events. But you just got back, I think, from Columbus. Where were you just traveling
Yeah,
traveling
that
to?
was recent. Most recently, I was in Columbus for the Cultivate show, which is from American Hort. That's the whole plant side of the industry. It's a fascinating show. I love being there. Very
Yeah,
different from all the other things, as I'd seen you last at AIFD, I think.
I know. I think that's where we ran into each other last. You spent some time in our suite painting, so
I
I
did. And I love how that turned out. First, the whole idea was so fun, but I love the way that turned out. It looks really good. And I'm glad I could just have a tiny part. I was that number 15 blue, I think.
I know, and really masterfully painted. So I don't know if you ever move away from flowers, you have found your new home and paint by number. So
Paint by numbers. Is that a job?
yeah, I don't know, but it was a really neat project, and it was so great to collaborate with so many people. And I think florists inherently just really loved to do another side of their art, right? So we thought it
Oh,
would be fun. It was a little off. We weren't sure if they would like totally like turn their nose about it, but I think that it was a hit. So it was good.
it was brilliant. I loved it.
Yeah, I am excited to speak with you today because I wanted just to share everything SAF has done for details over the years since we started back in 2016. So thank you for being a cheerleader and supporter of us. But you are been a cheerleader and supporter of the industry for, if I'm not mistaken, for over 30 years now. So I don't even know how that could be. But how
Yeah.
did you get started in this big, beautiful industry, Kate?
Yes. I know it's been 37 years.
Oh gosh.
I know, so long, so
I'm
long. So I got started in this industry. My background's actually journalism, and I'd moved to DC fresh with a journalism degree, and I was doing some freelance writing for, newspapers as I could pick it up. And then someone said, you should really try and get a job at a trade magazine. I didn't even know what that was at the time, I'm embarrassed to say. They said trade magazines are smaller, you'll do a lot of writing. So there was this job for a writer at SAF in 1987. And so I applied and got it and have never left.
Yeah, you have been. I would say that's a very long tenure with one organization. Like you,
Yes, it is.
but you have really seen so much growth and I think so much change because in 37 years, I mean, people were still taking notes and orders by like paper and pen and fax
Oh,
machines, I'm sure. And
oh my gosh, completely. And just the way that there was still film, film cameras, film, like the way we did everything. Fax machines. Of course, fax machines kind of lasted a long time, but
some people are still using them.
but I know. Actually, I think when I started at SAF, there were not fax machines. Maybe
Oh,
87. I can't, that may have been sort of a newer, cooler thing at that point. I'm not 100% certain. I can't remember. But yeah, it was very different. But I loved I didn't really know much about the floral industry at all, except liking flowers, and who doesn't like flowers? And as I said, I really didn't even understand what an association was when I took the job, but I quickly learned. And I found that I really like, so in journalism terms, what we do with our content, like in our magazine and our, people who work on a trade magazine and uh, newsletters, that kind of thing, it's called service journalism. So because it means you're serving a particular interest or a particular industry, and I really took to that. I really like the idea of having this niche audience. I also really love business, even though I don't have any formal background in it. I love business and I love retail and entrepreneurialism and all of that. So I just enjoyed it a lot. And I loved our industry. That took like zero time. The first time I think I was with our volunteer leaders, I was meeting all these, at SAF, were retailers, wholesalers, growers, manufacturers. So I was meeting all these people from all over the industry, and across the board, people are always so kind and interesting and lovely. And um, so I really enjoyed it and stuck with it, and was fortunate that, I was able to do a lot of different things at SAF over the next few decades.
Yeah. Well, I think that you guys really do a good job of like creating a family within this like giant floral ecosystem, right? When I attended my first event, it was actually in Maui. So you also do a really good job of picking fantastic places to host these events because fresh off of starting my company, I was like, I really have to attend this one event. And everyone said, well, where is it? And I was like, well, it's in Maui. And I was like, yes, I definitely have to be there. So that was my introduction into the industry. And prior to that, I had no idea that an association like this existed. And I was leaning into some mentors here locally that were part of healthcare. And they're like, you need to join your trade organization. And I was like, well, what's that? And then I looked into it and found it, and I was like, well, I'm definitely going to Maui now. So it was not too much leg pulling, for me to go to that. But I love, I think it was Joy Latimer during the final event when he was receiving an award, which really drove the whole family element home to me. He said, it brought tears to my eyes almost watching this man collect this like prestigious like award for his years of service in the industry. And his comment was, I'm just glad I wasn't in the tire industry. And that stuck with me for a long time because isn't it great that we work with flowers? It's
Right.
like
It is. It's
fantastic.
amazing. It's amazing. And for so many reasons, aside from the fact that they're just beautiful and it's part of nature. But when you think about the impact that our industry's product and what we do with that product has on people's lives, it's profound.
Yeah. Well, and I originally started working in the import side. And before that, I had no idea how flowers came into the country. Right. And that is just a big learning lesson. I think SAF really is teaching not only to their current users, but also all the new people coming in is
Right.
this is where flowers come from. Can you expand on that at all?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think you're talking about our next gen
Yeah,
initiative,
I'm
next
sorry. Yeah.
generation initiative. And it's it's probably, in terms of creating a really strong future for our industry, it might be the most important work that we're doing. And what this next gen initiative is, it's all about um, making sure that young people in the industry now love it and really kind of learn how to thrive in it and how to help the businesses they're working for or the businesses that they're running grow, appreciate the depth of this industry so that they stay in it, and become an integral part to the industry's growth, because we need that next generation. And it's so important. It's everything. That's the future of the industry. And so we have a lot of different ways that we're doing this. Some of it is just really simple through a Facebook group. We have a closed Facebook group. You just have to ask to be a member of it, and it's all 45 and under. I'm not really a part of it because
No, I shouldn't be a part of it anymore either, too. So I'm just trying to squeak through on my age there.
you
But
can skate through. You definitely can. So there's that. So people can just talk to each other and exchange sources and ask for ideas. We also have a monthly happy hour for the next gen group. Anybody can do that. And this is for SAF members and non-members. Anybody can do that. And they have all these great topics that they develop. Some are sort of based on leadership. They brought in mentors to that meeting before. They've talked about things like time management and dealing with stress, really relevant topics. And then we also have part of Next Gen, a big part of it is this annual event. It's become a convention of its own. It's pretty
I know.
size. And so we just had our third in February. We'll have our fourth next February after Valentine's Day in Dallas. And that's an amazing event. Just I'm on the sidelines watching, and I am so amazed at how a whole bunch of people, most of whom don't even know each other, many of whom don't know each other. Each year we get, probably 60 to 70% didn't attend the year prior so far. But everybody's so open and kind and sharing. And it's a very 45 and unders are a very cool part of our industry. I
Yeah,
love it.
I think it's just the coolest thing. I've had the opportunity to bring several of my teammates to this. And I really, for SAF this year, we're bringing 4 members of our team in addition to my husband and I, because I want them to fall in love with the industry. And I think if anybody goes to any of these so well orchestrated events, and it's you guys putting the time and effort to make it like so good. But when we all convene, I think that they feel the love and it's just something that they want to be a part of for a real long time.
For sure. It's the attendees that make it valuable and special. And I should say for all of our events, whether it's Next Gen Live, excuse me, or SAF's annual convention, or even our Profit Blast, yes, we put it on and we're orchestrating it and we're making it all happen, but everything, all the content that goes into it, kind of what should we feature? What are the topics? That's all driven by our volunteer leaders. And we have a next gen committee, and they guide us, as they guide us on, like, here's what we would recommend. Here's the programming, the kind of program we want to see. Here are the topics. And sometimes we'll throw some things out and they'll say, nah, we don't really like that. Let's do this instead. And so we take all of our cues from our volunteer leaders.
Well, and you started as CEO in 2017, uh,
Yes,
30 years in, but this particular is the oldest, if I'm not mistaken, the oldest trade organization in the country.
it
And
is.
it was started, what, 100 and almost 140 years ago?
Yes, it was started about 140 years ago. SAF is the oldest trade association, either oldest or second oldest. And we were actually started by an act of Congress, the only trade association started by an act of Congress. It was about getting hail insurance for the industry. So yeah, we have a very long history.
Yeah, and I always love every year. There's a tremendous awards banquet where people that are in the industry or their families been in the industry for years and years, but a centennial award. So there are actual businesses in the floral industry that have been around for as long as 140 years. And if you think about that, it's just
Right.
phenomenal. There's not many industries that can say that.
Right. No, I know. And we love to celebrate the Century Award, because what an achievement to be around for 100 years. And in some cases, it's, within the same family, but in other cases, it's someone who's purchased, who they bought a business, an existing brand, but still they've been able to keep it going. It's that same brand. So yeah, we love to celebrate that, among many other things, at that awards banquet.
Yeah. So it's really a collection of growers, breeders who are kind of deciding what flowers need to be sold, and they take the cues of the retailers. Event florist is kind of a newer segue, I guess. It's not to me or us, because that's really where we focus on, but I feel like in conversation or the discussions over the last 7 years, it's definitely churning up to show more of that event side of the business.
It is. Yeah. We are seeing more and more event floors as members. And that's because there are lots of event floors. Like that's a really important growing segment of our industry. And so we want to make sure, for instance, SAF has a retail count. I talked about our volunteer leaders. They're on we have retail council, wholesale council, grower council. And in fact, I see a former retail council member on this call, Jessica Cosentino. Hello. But we always want to make sure that we have at least one event florist on our retail council, at least one. And we do. So, because it's important, it's an important voice. But yeah, we've loved seeing more involvement from event florists.
No, thank you. One of the very first events that I went to, which is turned into my favorite, and you know the one I'm talking about, because it's an event that happens. I know there's been a little bit of a change since I've been going, but one of the big parts of Society of American Florists is the advocacy that you do on behalf of all the florists in the industry. And I think that we're also removed and really focused in on our own business inside our own four walls, that you don't really ever peek outside and see what else is going on. But there's a lot of legislation that is super important to the work that we're all doing. So can you expand on that at all? Or give us your pitch for like how or why people should be a part of movement and
Yeah,
across the
yes,
world.
absolutely. The advocacy piece is really important. And in fact, there are some members that that's the number one reason why they're a member is because they want to support the work that we're doing on Capitol Hill to advocate for our industry. Some of the big issues that we focused on, like research funding, is really important. Getting more money to focus on the kind of research the industry needs in order to keep advancing. So maybe it's research into, more breeding of more pest and disease tolerant flowers. How to breed flowers that don't need as much water, like taking into account things that are changing with the climate and a lot of breeders are focused on that. How can we consider these, more drought tolerant types of plants? Um, so there's a research funding piece and Corinne, you've been such a big part of our effort, our annual effort to go to the Hill. It's called Congressional Action Days, where a whole bunch of members come in and they go to Capitol Hill and they advocate for these issues. Another example of an issue is right now, we've been working on it for the last couple of years, the GSP, or the Generalized System of Preferences. There's currently a 7% tax on roses that are imported from Ecuador. Most other flowers that are imported are not taxed. They're part of either a free trade agreement or something else. But with roses, for various reasons, roses are this agreement that expired. We got it renewed, but now the tax is being applied, and we're trying to turn that around. And because that's 7%, that it comes up to like $20 million that's not staying in the industry. So
Yeah.
that's something else that we're really working on. Labor reform is important too. Immigration reform is important. Our growers really need a steady workforce. So that's something that we focus on as well. So yeah, the advocacy piece is great. And as I said, we're doing it year round, which is why we call our effort CAD, which stands for Congressional Action Days, CAD 365, because year round, our lobbying team is on the Hill working on these issues. But we do have this event that we will have again at the end of March called Congressional Action Days, which is actually the live in-person event where if you're interested, you can come and you can run around on Capitol Hill and visit different offices and advocate for these issues.
Yeah, I think it's such important work, and it's really an amazing time, especially if you're like the grandeur of just being on Capitol Hill and seeing how the political process works and how you can get the attention. And SAF does all the organization, all the setting up. I mean, when I see how much work you guys do throughout the year and putting these plans and agenda, whether it be 365, CAD 365, or the annual convention, or next gen, or these profit blasts, my team is so thankful that someone is stepping up and doing this instead of us having to do it. So that's why we always try to be so supportive of any event that's happening, because if you think of how much time and planning that goes into this, that's one less step that all the sponsors have to do. So we do try to encourage all of our friends and Floral family to not only attend but participate, like be an active member and all of.
Oh, definitely. And thank you. Thank you for encouraging that, because we know from talking to our members that our members that really feel the value are those who do engage in some way, shape, or form, whether they're attending our in-person live events or they're taking part in we have a monthly webinar called Idea Exchange every month. We've got a quarterly one called the Ultimate Roundtable that many of our members like. And or just really reading our newsletter that comes out every other week, reading the magazine that comes out bi-monthly. People who engage, those are the ones that are really getting something out of it.
Yeah. And I think it's like you have to be, you have to be the action, and to see any kind of results at all in your business. So I do think that the ones that step up and come or attend or volunteer, they're just so much more plugged in. And they also have, some people I know have created these other groups of people they've met where they just collectively get together because they all have similar size businesses, and they don't know how to push it to the next level or talk to other people about what's working right in their business versus what hasn't worked so well. So it's like ways to avoid blunders or missteps along the way just by like hearing other people's stories and what they've done or
That's huge, right? Like those conversations that take place around those tables. There's sometimes I've heard someone on our board in the last couple of years, she's called SAF like a peer group on steroids. Because, and steroids meaning there's a lot of people that are attending these events. I mean, sometimes if you're going to a profit blast, you might be among like 80 other florists, but at convention, there's, more than 400 people there. So that's the steroids part. And as you say, it's interesting that you say that some people then end up kind of connecting with other people and having this ongoing thing. We've heard that as well. And we are always looking through our volunteer leaders, we're always looking at like, how can we add value to the SAF membership? And we were kind of tossing around the idea in the last couple of months, it's come up like, should SAF help form peer groups? And where we really landed, where our board landed on that was that like peer groups are already being formed, SAF's kind of the starting place because they observed exactly what you said. Like people can come to an SAF event to see like, well, who around the country might they want to connect to? Who do they have some nice synergies with? And then they can form their own peer group, from that. So we don't necessarily have to do that, but we can be the springboard for that happening.
Yeah. Well, one thing that I really appreciate every year is the trade show element of the SAF convention, because that when we were first starting, you can cold call people all you want and tell them about something, but there's nothing like meeting someone face to face to have like a personal conversation. And I think that because this industry is so hospitality driven, like we all have to know how to give and create that customer service interaction, that it's really was a huge benefit to us in getting started. So can you tell a little bit more about what that kind of period is
Yeah.
at the convention and what, yeah.
That's really, really important. One of SAF's goals is called connections and connecting people in the industry. And it's connecting peer-to-peer connection, so event florists, you can talk to other florists and learn things and exchange ideas. But that supplier buyer connection is critical and transformative actually, and not only for suppliers like you that end up going to exhibiting at our event and we hope gaining some new customers, but on our surveys after our events where we've had a supplier expo, and we with the exception of congressional action days, we have a supplier showcase at every event. I am always struck by how many people on the retail end talk about the value of that expo. That they say things like, I met a company that is completely going to transform my business. And because when you think about it, like the product that you're carrying and the systems that you're using, that's everything. Like that's a really big part of your business. And if you meet a supplier that's going to help solve a problem for you, because that's really what the suppliers in the industry do, that's transformative. That could totally change the direction of your business. And so that's a very important part of what we do. And we're thrilled that by coming to SAF events and seeing these suppliers, and of course at other events too, there are lots of shows, exhibits, throughout the industry, but it has a big impact on a business. It's important.
Well, and it's also a chance for, I think that especially for retailers because all the biggest players attend your events. If I wanted to meet any leading wholesaler or the head of the company at this such and such, they all have appearances there. They make themselves available to their customers. So it is, it's also a party, and you could get on the dance floor on the last night, and like really, that's where you really make the most business. I think on the dance floor. I've seen you out there. You're a pretty good dancer, Kate. You have to admit
Thank you,
that.
Corinne.
I know. So you guys, you'll find us on the dance floor on the last night.
I
And,
know it's
and
fun.
that's probably a big celebration for all of your team to say, "Ooh, we made it through another convention." Because I mean, corralling 500 florists is probably not the easiest job in the world, right?
Well, we have such an amazing team though. Like we have so many, everybody is so smart and so dedicated And we really have a culture of, I really encourage a culture of leadership, meaning like throw out your ideas, identify when something we're doing is not working, feel comfortable with that, and let's just keep making this better. And so consequently, I do think that's a big part of why, it's because of our team that those events go the way that they do and are so successful. It's a group effort. I know you have a great team. You know what I'm talking about. And probably anyone on this call, when you have a great team and everyone's really contributing, it's a beautiful thing. Good things happen.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and some conversations are that you're having the like succession planning. I remember one of my first events I sat in, and I was like, what does that even mean? Like, and that was like some foreign terminology. And it's when your business and you age out and you need to either pass it on to another business or sell it. Like, what are the best steps to do that? And I think that that's a lot of things that young people starting a company don't really think about,
Right.
and older people might not know the best steps. So I feel like your content is just really thought provoking, and it really plants a seed for you to think about later. And I mean, that's just one example, but you have, I think, what, just 20 different seminars or something of
Right.
topics to be discussed, and you can
Yeah,
choose.
yeah, we do. It's really important. And thank you for that. And even that topic of succession planning, that really falls, that's a tactic within one of our other goals. I talked about our connection goal. Another goal is called future. And in that goal, that's where we are making sure that we are trying to think like not just about today and what the industry needs right now, but also what's around the corner and what should we be anticipating. Succession planning is a huge issue. Like if if you don't start
Oh,
thinking about
ya,
your
ya se irá María.
after
No
until
quiero.
if you don't start thinking about your next chapter until it's like staring you in the face, let's say you're 65 years old, it's too late. You have to start thinking about it earlier. And we are really, it doesn't mean if you're 65 or 70 and you haven't thought about it that it's truly too late. But I'll just say that's not ideal. And if you're there, we can help you too. But ideally, we are trying to help the industry plan for a successful next chapter, whether you're going to sell your business to someone else or pass it along to someone in your family. We want you to start thinking about that earlier. And we have put a lot of energy into content in our magazine, in our virtual events, and our live events that are just about that. Oh my gosh, last year, did you go to the session it was on family business succession, where there were three.
I missed last year. It's the first time. It was at Interfloral was the same time. So I was in
Oh, that's right. You weren't there.
Yeah.
This whole issue of succession, it's very emotional. It's very emotional business because there's, especially for family businesses. And and we had 3 different family businesses on the stage that were going through succession, which was great. So they could share their strategies. But got emotional because it's an emotional topic, parents passing to kids and kids, 50-year-old kids and the frustrations that might come with that. So yeah, anyway, we tackle tough topics too.
Well, and I think it's profound because in this industry, it's been my observation that they're all small businesses and entrepreneurs that started these flower companies. There's not one big like player that like has the entire industry. It's all set up little businesses that are all over and just keeping this industry going. So these are all like very relevant topics that might be out of sight and out of mind, but you come here and it just stirs up some things, and it takes planning. So you know
Done.
you
Done.
also do a lot, I think. SAF is, and we were talking earlier before we jumped on this call about your strategic plan. So I love to hear that you guys are constantly like updating this, or really like course correcting, or making sure you have that. So I think that everybody should have that in their business, and I love to hear that you're doing that. But I know a few years ago you started something to help the industry called Pedal It Forward, and what a fun event this is. And I was like, I don't know if I get it, but I participated one time, and now we're like all in. It's a great way to connect with our local community and share the love of flowers. Would you mind sharing a little bit about what that program is?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. Pedal It Forward is such a great event. It goes back to 2014. And so this is our 10th year of doing it. And 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 back in 2014, that was the time when there was sort of this trend happening, culturally about pay it forward.
Mm.
Do nice things for other people. Someone does something good for you, you do something good for someone else. And so we came up with this idea of pedal it forward. And the whole idea is where if you're participating, you and your team, and it's open to everybody in the industry, you and your team kind of go out and hit the streets with with a whole bunch of bouquets, but you go up to strangers on the street with 2 bouquets or 2 stems, whatever. And you say, here's one for you to keep, and then one for you to give to someone else. And that's what they do. They have these little teams, and I think we had 600 different businesses take part last year, and it's no longer just in the United States now. People are doing it. I think we had 8 or 9 other countries involved with it last year. So it's great and it's powerful. And so there's all kinds of good things that happen from it. First, you're doing a really nice thing in the community. You're getting attention for your brand from people in the community. We have materials you can use, that you can print off. You can make t-shirts, you can make stickers. We even have stickers that kind of reinforce the emotional impact of flowers. But the other piece is that you're going to get some media coverage, probably. A lot of people get covered in the media because it's such a great story to tell. The local media, as long as there's something else that's not pulling the attention away from, that needs to be covered, this story gets covered a lot. And so if you participate, there's a good chance that your business could get covered in the local media. And one other benefit, and then you can speak to this directly and tell me, yes, Kate, that's right. The other thing we hear is that businesses that do this, sometimes their employees say it's their favorite event of the year. Like it's like their highlight of the year. So it's a great team effort, because it just feels so good to do something so kind, to just give flowers and you see the reactions of people. So that's another very cool aspect and powerful aspect of this event. So, but you've taken part in it. So you talk about what you've done.
I have to agree. It's one of the best things to do. I think the art of gift giving and the art of receiving a gift, you realize how powerful that is. And I think every time that exchange happens, people are like, oh, look how happy it made me. And then they see the reaction. So I feel like it does make them want to consume more flowers as well and gift them. So there's not really I think a better way to do it. And a lot of the farms and partners will give discounts to florists that are doing this, or even very generous. I mean, I know Jet Fresh sent us, I think like 500 bouquets to give out. It was almost too much to give out. I was like, oh my gosh, they're so generous. They made us look really good in our town, but I feel like I hear that all the time with all these different people who are just like very much, it's helping them all move more flowers. And
Right.
I think it's
Right.
just a beautiful thing to do.
Yeah. And so every year it's been, this year it's on October. Wait, I got to make sure. October 14th, October 16th, October 16th. It's usually on like the middle Wednesday in October.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's a great time. So if people want any information, they can go to, of course, safnow.org and,
Right.
and find that out.
Right. You don't even have to look for it on the site. You can just wait for someone will pop up on, just ask in live chat and someone will help, tell you whatever, answer any of your questions and lead you to the right spot on the website.
Yeah, you just did a big overhaul on your website too.
We did. We did.
Yeah.
How did we do? Did you check it out?
Oh, I think it's great. I think it's daunting though to change all of that. There's a lot of plumbing.
Yeah, as everyone listening, because I'm sure everyone listening has websites themselves, they can appreciate that, like trying to make your website better. It's not an easy thing to do, but hopefully it is helping people find things more easily. That was because we heard that our previous website, people who knew it, know SAF and understand SAF and what we do, they didn't have a problem with it, but it was just more like newcomers that were kind of like, where do I go? There's so much, because there was so much. So we really had to improve the navigation. on
Yeah,
it.
I hear your pain on that. And people are not unwilling to tell you when they don't like something.
Right,
Like,
right.
yeah, yeah. They're, it's harder to get them to say something nice. No. So we mainly deal with event florists. There are, I think probably about 85% of our customers are event florists. What are the top reasons why event florists should be a part of SAF or join? And
Well, so now that we actually have more event florists in our membership, I can actually really speak to what we're hearing from those event florist members, versus me like kind of guessing. And what we hear from event florists is that they really appreciate the connection to the greater industry. Running a business can be very isolating, right? Whether you are running a retail flower shop with daily business, or if you're running an event studio where it's just you and your product, and then maybe the freelancers that you connect with during events. Either way, it can be a little lonely and isolating. And while it can be very easy to just stay dug in and focused and just move ahead and going through your to-do list and just trying to get from one day to the other, what we hear from people and event florists is kind of like this wow after they have engaged with let's say a webinar that we've done or attended one of our live events. They're like, oh my gosh, I really realized I needed to get out. I needed to get out and I needed to connect. And we hear from event florists in particular about how easy it makes it to connect with other suppliers. And we've talked about that a little bit with our expos, but that's a really important part, so that makes it easier to know, like, well, who are the potential business partners that I have out there, and what problems can they help me solve for my business? And certainly on the supply side, getting a better sense for what your options are there as well. And then beyond that, we do a lot of content that's really, because events are an important part of our industry, we do a lot of content that's really that's about events, how to find new clients, how to make events more profitable,
on track.
how to manage your events, right? Like all of that. And so we have a lot of content. Like you did a great course for us on that. And so you did. It's been a couple of years. Did you forget? Did you block it out of your memory?
I mean, that might happen from time to time. I will admit it, but yes, I did. But it's something we speak about so often, so it wasn't completely unfamiliar. But I know that I think, did something on contracts and what event florists should have in terms.
Right, like super niche topic. And every year in our magazine, we have a bi-monthly magazine called Floral Management, and every year we dedicate an entire issue to events. And so it'll always, dig into several aspects of running an event. And so there's that, but the content also, we kind of keep, if it's in the magazine, then it's also going to be in our newsletter, and it's also going to be on our social, so we really utilize all of our channels, because different people are consuming content in different ways. Some people read a magazine, some people read the digital edition, some people read the print, some people just look at our newsletter. So we want to make sure we're putting it out in multiple ways. So there is a lot of event related content that's always changing, and we're adding to it. And
another aspect is there's a few aspects that happen at the convention. It's so much. It's 4 or 5 days too. I feel like 4 full days, 3 full days. I don't know. I know I'm getting there. I'm staying a whole week, so I'm just gonna.
Right.
But
the event itself, just yes, it can, depending on your travel, it can definitely feel like 4 or 5 or a week. For me, it's a week for sure. But the event itself, it's starting like this, for instance, this year, it's starting on a Tuesday evening, and then it ends at noon on Friday. And actually the Friday morning event is optional. That's a tour. We're going to some Miami import facilities and a bouquet maker, and also an amazing event production company called Pedal Productions. So it's like 2 days plus another half day. Yeah.
that's amazing. And I've been on that tour with Next Gen. We did it a couple years ago, which was
Yeah.
so great to see how I feel like they took us to the airport with Armalini and we heard all about the logistics. And it really helps you sell an event too, when you can speak to how far these flowers are traveling to get there. I mean, that's another value added that you can tell your customers too about when you understand that. But um, the farm tour that you did in San Diego this last year on the Next Gen tour was pretty death defying, I might add there, Kate. And you're
Oh
doing
my
it again.
gosh. You were
Yeah.
on the bus that almost tipped over, right?
Yeah, no, I know.
Weren't
So
you guys all like leaning on the other side? So it
yeah,
wouldn't.
it was me. I was like trying to tell people to lean to the right. It was all through the mountains, San Diego and Coronado, I guess, or near there, and at Kendall Farms, and they grow their flowers and their proteas on the side of this mountain. But like, you really are. It was like a very long bus, and it was a very tiny road.
I know that driver, those drivers were amazing. And I knew I had done that a couple other times before, and I knew that our buses were not going to tip over. But yes, it was pretty adventurous. Hey, like we say, it's an adventure, right? It's not just a job, it's an adventure.
Yes, for sure. One other thing I wanted to mention for people when they go to this, there's a huge room dedicated to best flowers, like
Oh,
best
outstanding varieties.
outstanding varieties. How phenomenal is that? And these are all, are they new products or just products that they're putting out? Are these all cultivated this year and they're introducing them to the market? And you give
Right.
ribbons of best in show. It's like a dog show, but for flowers.
It is. It's amazing. Oh, I love that. Oh my gosh. I love that comparison. So it's outstanding varieties. They are by definition and kind of the rules to get in, it needs to be a product that is commercially available. So because it's not things that are brand new and not out yet, because that would also be cool, but it would also leave a lot of people going, wait, I want that. I love that. And I want that. So we do request that something be available. Sometimes things are still kind of new and available in small quantities though. So that does happen. So outstanding varieties, we usually get more than 200 different entries and we have judges that judge them and there's ribbons and it's just this much anticipated event every year. And so there's that aspect, but we did actually add to it a category for a breeder category where a breeder can put in what they call codes. And codes are what breeders call a flower that they haven't named yet. And they haven't named it yet because they haven't decided if they're really gonna, go push it forward in commercial production. So if a breeder wants to put some of their codes out, they can do it. And we also added this year a special exhibit, not a competition, but we're calling it Breeders Alley. And that's where breeders can display whatever they want, something that's not commercially available yet though. And so we're really excited about that because in Breeders Alley, the breeders will be there and they're really hoping that buyers come and walk through and that maybe you kind of weigh in on what you think about the different flowers that you're seeing, because that's going to help them. That's going to help them decide, am I going to move forward with this variety or not? So that's a new opportunity that I think people will really enjoy. And there's so much value there for the breeder and also kind of exciting for attendees to sort of see what might be coming down the pike. I visit a lot of flower farms, so I see that a lot, especially if I'm going to a flower farm with a breeding facility or if I go to a breeding facility. Have you ever done that, Crane? Have you ever been to
No, I've not done that. I've had many invitations, but I've never taken them up on it. So I know it's in my future.
Yes, it has to be, and it's really exciting. So I'm excited that we can bring that to our convention this year. A little slice of that to our convention.
Well, and a little birdie told me, and this is just me popping off the top of my head, that you recently had a flower named after you, didn't you?
I did. I
Yeah.
did. Yes. This was so exciting and a surprise too. It's from Plantech, which is a plant propagator. And they work with I don't know, I think 4 different breeders. And anyway, I was they had a grower show, a multi-day grower show. They're based in Ecuador. Well, I was at their facility in Ecuador. They had this event where they invite like 400 growers to see their greenhouses and see all their varieties and presumably, commit to buying some plant material while they're there over 3 days. And they asked me if I would come and do a state of the industry presentation each day on each day of their, their tour days. And so I did that. So I was just talking about what's going on in the industry. And at the end of, and it was funny, the first day I was doing it, I was kind of getting mic'd up, and it was outside, the event was outside, and getting mic'd up, getting ready. And I see this beautiful, huge, massive arrangement of roses. They were beautiful. And I'm always curious, oh, like, what's that rose? What is that? And I said, what's that rose called? And Avi with Plantech, my host, he said, oh, that's a code. We haven't named it yet. So get on. And then I give my spiel, my talk, and then after they announce that this rose that's over here, they named after me.
I know. So that's such an honor too, because they have to have such specific things, and they have to look, and I guess it gets trademarked or copywritten, and
Right.
it's a huge investment for people too. Like new
Right.
varieties.
It is. It
Yeah.
is. And it was amazing. And so they announced it each day, all 3 days. And so there's a tradition with, I think it goes back to France and new rose varieties, but when a new rose is named, it gets christened with a bottle of champagne,
Oh.
like you pop it, like in Formula One.
Yeah, like in Emily in Paris. Yeah.
Shake it, pop it, and then it goes all over the rose. So I got to do that 3 times.
Oh, that's great. I love
It
it.
was so fun. And I have to say, there was this little part of me where I was kind of like, are they kidding? Did this really just happen? And the next day are they just being nice because I'm here, And the next day I was walking through their greenhouse with brand spanking new varieties, just sort of walking down, it's a range. And so there's big ranges of these brand new roses that are just about to go to market. And all of a sudden I see this, my name at the top of the range. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is for real.
Yeah, you're gonna be on every package of roses. I'm gonna ask for those specifically. And they're probably, gonna be very pricey because I saw the rose and it's gorgeous. And everybody's gonna want the most expensive rose, and it's named after you. No.
Right.
No, but I thought that was a really, really fun and clever. So
It was fun.
yeah, thank you for sharing that too.
Um,
So as the floral industry continues to evolve, how does SAF see itself moving forward? Like what's next for you guys?
Oh my goodness. Well, you'd mentioned that you like to hear that we're always kind of, looking at our strategic plan. And so the strategic plan that we're in right now, we're in year 5. It's a 5-year strategic plan, and this is year 5. So our board has spent the last couple of its meetings, basically since November, looking at what our next strategic plan needs to be about. So we're really calling it a strategic refresh. It doesn't mean like we're all of a sudden going into, 4 or 5 brand new directions. It's really more of a refresh, and, what's really important, what new things do we need to take on? And in order to keep being, an advocate for our industry and helping the industry grow. How do we continue to connect and cultivate a thriving floral community? And so some of the recurring themes are this focus on next gen, our partnership with Seed Your Future, which is creating a pipeline of talent, getting people who don't even have jobs yet, or maybe are ready for a career switch to think about our industry. That's really important to the future of our industry. The Next Gen initiative is really important, helping the industry adapt to, figure out what their next chapter is, these succession planning issues. It's also important, we want to continue, one of the things that our event community loves so much, and really the whole industry, is our ability to stay on top of trends, whether they're design trends and floral trends or business trends in general. How is the consumer changing? How are they buying flowers? How is that going to change? And how can we help our industry adapt to that? So those are kind of some really high level, big picture things. And we continue to see the importance of SAF connecting people and bringing our industry together, because people crave that connection, and that connection helps them grow and prosper. So we know we're going to continue to do that. We want to make sure we're doing it in the most effective ways, and so we are always trying to evolve and make our events more interesting and more responsive to what our industry really needs.
Yeah.
So yeah. Does
Thank
that
you.
answer?
I mean, no, the work you guys do is just so wonderful. How many people are on your team too? Because it seems like, gosh, uh,
we have 12,
okay, yeah.
11.
So we're about the same size. We're small but mighty, right? Don't you? I feel
We
like you
are
guys do
we
so
are
much.
small and so incredibly mighty. I can't say enough about our team. I can get a little misty when I start talking about it a lot, to be honest.
Well, a lot of people have been with you quite a long time, like almost the entire time. So I feel like
Yeah,
that's
we do have a few who've been with us for a really long time, and that's great. I'm not the only legacy employee, but we also have some great new fresh blood too, which is important. I think it's important to have both, because with every new team member we bring on, I'm always amazed. I'm like, people come on and they bring great experience from wherever they were before. They see things that we haven't been able to see. So that's important. And the other piece, the other really important area where we see like fresh blood is in our volunteer leadership. And a lot of people might not know this necessarily. But I mentioned our councils, but people are elected to those councils, and they serve. Each council has 12 people on it. Our board has 14 people on it. But they serve for 3 years. And so and it's staggered terms. So every single year we're getting 3 new people on each council. So we're constantly getting new perspectives from our industry. And as I said before, everything we do starts with our volunteer leadership. So they're telling us, here's what's important. Here's what SAF should be focusing on. And so that's always changing. Like, we're always getting this fresh new blood, and the quality of our volunteer leadership is kind of everything. That's really, aside from our staff, quality of our staff, quality of our volunteer leadership, that's where all the magic is. Like, that's the secret sauce.
yeah. And people can probably see you at many events throughout the year. How many events do you go to every year? I feel like it's
I mean, I probably go to maybe 6 to 8, I would say. Yeah. Yeah, of like, you mean like shows and conferences, that sort of thing. And then I also just try and just sometimes go to a city where I can visit a lot of our members too, as possible.
yeah.
Well,
Well,
and
that's
I love traveling. I love being out in the industry. And
yeah, it shows. It shows because when you show up, I feel like you're a friend to everybody, and everybody wants like just a few minutes with you just to kind of just catch up, but also like gain some insights because you see it all. And I feel like it's a pretty incredible torch that you've been carrying and making the
thank
industry
you.
a better place.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, well, I really enjoy serving our industry and being with our industry. It's my favorite part, is to actually be with our, just talk to our members and hear what's going on.
Jessica says you're one of a kind. So I have to, I
Oh,
will second that.
thank you, Jessica.
So I love it. So we always end out our Details University lives with some rapid fire questions because at the end of the year we're going to put these all together and it's going to be a really fun thing. So are you ready, Kate, for the rapid fire
I'm not
question?
sure, but you'll know when I answer.
We'll edit it out if you're not, Okay. First one's first. What is your favorite word in another language?
Um, Obrigado.
Is that Italian?
No, and I'm pretty sure it's Portuguese, and it
Oh,
means thank you. But that's the first word that popped in my head. I like words that have a lot of
you rolled your R's really
well,
well.
yeah, obrigado. Yeah, well, I lived in Spain for a year, so I can do that our rolling thing. Oh wait, here's another one that's kind of a nice one. I'm not going to pronounce this right, but I think this is Korean. Kamsamnida. I think that means thank you in Korea.
I hope it means
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. I don't know
Uh,
if those are my favorite words. They're just too deep to mind.
I'm at a blank now, and I'm asking the question, so you think I would know. Okay, next question. What is your drink of choice?
Oh, you know what? Just all right. My drink of choice is I love red wine so much. And
Yeah.
so that's usually what I have. Yeah. And I used to be only into like bigger red wines like Cabernet. But I also really like blends. But recently, after my husband and I did this great trip, we hiked along the Oregon coast and we went to some wineries in the Willamette Valley. And then so which all of a sudden made me really into Pinot Noir. So I guess I'm drinking those lately. But I'm gonna say one other, my daughters, I have two 20-something daughters, and I kind of, because of them, have really enjoyed an Aperol Spritz.
Oh, that's big here in this office. Yes.
Is I love it. So that's kind of my new mixed drink of choice. If
Oh,
it, like during the day, I guess it's a brunch thing, right?
yeah, I think so. We'll have the girls write that down if we're ever surprising you with a drink. So Pinot Noir, Aperol Spritz. This is probably hard, and you can't say your flower, but what is your favorite flower?
I can't say my flower. That's funny. I think I guess I really love dahlias. It's really hard though to pinpoint though, because there's so many flowers. And my husband is quite the gardener. We have so many gorgeous flowers in our yard right now. He does a lot of lilies. But I
Uh,
guess, yeah, I really love dahlias, because they come in so many different, like sometimes they're really huge and sometimes they're a little bit tighter. Chrysanthemums are like that too. Chrysanthemums, there's a lot of different versions of chrysanthemums too.
yeah, no, good choice. So summer, winter, spring, or fall?
Huh. Gosh, that's hard. All right, I guess I'm gonna say spring because I really like the way it smells like when winter's done and you can just kind of smell the dirt and stuff, like because it's raining in the spring.
Well,
But
I
I,
have to give kudos again to SAF for hosting the SAF 365, the Congressional Action Days during cherry blossom season. Come on now. And she's based in Alexandria, so that's where the home office is. And just gorgeous. If you haven't been to DC during cherry blossom season, it's a must see.
it's amazing. Yeah.
Morning or evening? More of a morning
Morning.
person? Yes, I thought so. Are you more of a thinker or a doer?
I, oh gosh, I doer. Did you say thinker or a doer?
Yeah, a thinker or a doer. I guess a dreamer or a doer. Are you more of a like
Oh, I think a doer, but sometimes you have to dream before you do. And then sometimes I do before thinking, I'll admit that. Yeah, my staff would probably be like, uh-huh.
yeah, guilty. I know. These are, place you most want to travel that you've never been.
Oh my goodness.
On
Okay.
bucket list.
So like a million places, but everybody keeps talking about um Croatia. So I'm really intrigued by that, like Croatia and Turkey. I also want to go to Prague. Um,
Are there flowers there? I don't
in
know.
Prague, I don't know, other than in flower shops.
Find a reason to go, like a flower reason to
There are
go.
so many places.
Right.
I think that where do you want to travel to? I also would love to go to Africa. Like I'd like to go on safari too.
Yes.
Yeah. And then I love national parks too. And I've been to several, but not every single one. I love to climb every mountain and ford every stream. I will not break out in song right now, though, I promise.
Oh, I know. I'm like ready for you to like see, what's for dinner tonight?
Tonight, I know what it is because I just made it last night and I made a lot of it. So we're having it again tonight. It is like kind of like a zucchini lasagna, zucchini with, and in the ricotta, I mixed in some fresh corn and some fresh mushrooms too, and a lot of basil, little tomato sauce. It was delicious, I have to say. So we're eating that tonight too.
Okay, good. I love that. Leftovers. No, I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
leftovers.
Oh, what's your go-to karaoke song?
I don't have one.
Oh, no.
So do I just need to come up with something? Like
Oh,
what
no.
ones
It's fine, but, we're not gonna play it like YMCA. I don't know. Um,
yeah, I don't
oh,
think
Mark says
I
you guys
do play karaoke, but
yeah. Mark. Hi, Mark.
hi
Uh, any hidden talents you can share with us? No, you wouldn't be an essay of
Well,
talent.
okay. So several people saw this after Next Gen Live. Now remember, I only get to go to Next Gen Live because I know people, all right? Clearly I'm out of the age group. However, afterwards, a couple people got an idea to go roller skating
Cool. I
at
never
at a roller skating rink. And I roller skated at roller skating rinks as a kid, like in the 70s. And so I would say, I'm not saying I was really good, but I didn't fall. And I was actually pretty much okay. Actually, I'm a pretty good ice skater because I grew up in Detroit and we spent our weekends through the winter. Winter, I love winter too, by the way. Ice skating at an outdoor rink that was in our neighborhood. You know, it's like a soccer field that became a rink in the winter. So I'm actually a pretty good ice skater. Yeah.
nice. I will take you up on that if it's something we need to do.
We should
Um,
go ice skating the next time you come to DC. I know an indoor rink. That's Kareen. We're gonna do that, okay?
well, and I have to tell everybody that when I first met Kate, she invited me to the SAF offices, and here's me, new person, got a brand new business, and I walk into this beautiful office, and it's got my name on the board, like "Welcome, Kareen," and gave me the whole tour. And then she took me around for like 3 hours around all of these art museums in DC, and we just got to know each other. We did go for some red wine, I think, so
Good.
check that off. But it was a very nice way to be welcomed into the industry. And I think she does that, rolls out the red carpet for everyone. But
I
I,
love
I did
that.
feel special.
I
So
still remember that. And yeah, and we've been friends since. That's
I
very
know.
special.
Yes, I love that. Well, if you want to end this out, we would love to see your favorite dance move if you have one.
I don't have one. I used to do ballet, so it might be a pirouette. And you don't want me to do that now, okay?
Okay. Okay. Well, and I know she's into yoga, you guys, too. So she's
Oh, I love yoga. Yeah. Love
no,
you.
well, we'll wait to see that what your favorite dance move is on the dance floor at SAF.
All right.
Well, thank you guys for all tuning in. Thank you, Kate, for joining me this afternoon. It's been a real pleasure getting to know you more and introducing others to the industry and all the events that SAF is a part of, and how much you do for the industry is just amazing. And I can't thank you enough. And I'm sure everyone here thanks you too. So thank you.
Oh my goodness. Thank you. Thank you for having me. This has been really, really fun.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys. If you have any questions, we are going to put this into a nice recap. We'll have a blog and highlight Kate. And thank you. If you guys want to check us out, can they still get tickets to SAF? Is it sold out? Accept people at the
Oh,
door?
definitely. Yeah, no, it's not sold. I don't think we ever sell out. I don't think there's such thing as selling out. There's room for everybody. So yeah, you can definitely register. Just go on our website and just ask someone on live chat to send you in the right direction if you can't find it. Yeah, we would love to see you coming to the convention.
Awesome. Well, it'll be here in 2 weeks, so I'm excited. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you next time.